Sunday Breakfast with me, Lucy Tegg. There are anti-racism rallies taking place across the UK today, despite restrictions on mass gatherings in place because of coronavirus. The protests were originally sparked by the death of George Floyd in police custody in Minneapolis. They have widened to include systemic racism in general. Faith also became part of this when Donald Trump posed outside a church wielding a Bible. Someone who knows what it's like to live on both sides of the Atlantic is my next guest, Bishop Dexter Edmund, who's senior pastor at Bethel Church in St. George. Good morning.
Good morning, Lucy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for spending some time talking to us this Sunday morning. I know that you have been posting on YouTube from the church for whether it's Bible studies or whether it's, an act of worship, etc. But this week you posted on YouTube in a slightly different way. You wanted to share your thoughts on what has been happening as a result of the death of George Floyd, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I just felt that personally it was maybe my responsibility to pause from a traditional Bible study setting and to address what was going on. And so I took the opportunity to just really speak from my heart, unscripted, to share my sentiments and the sentiments of those that I had been speaking with concerning the event that took place in Minneapolis. And so I think that all of us have had to reflect upon what has happened. And then as faith leaders, what will our response be? And a measured and calm response, but a response nonetheless that really brings everyone to an awareness that this type of incident it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's happening all over the world and even right here in our own country. So I felt it was important to do so.
How hard is it to provide a measured response when there are other voices there, voices of anger, voices of hurt, voices of pain as well?
Well, I think that's an excellent question, and I think that's where we have to, as faith leaders, really be reflective, because we are angry and we feel pain, we feel hurt, but it's our responsibility as faith leaders to lead in a peaceful and nonviolent way, but to be part of the outcry. And so, I have adult children who are very, very angry and their peers are somewhat more militant than we are, and what our parents would have been in the late 50s and early 60s when they first came to this country. So we're trying to give them space to voice their thoughts and opinion, but provide the leadership to not only react, but to respond. But be very mindful that the reaction is going to happen. But I'm more interested in both a faith response and a political response.
Forgive the way I'm wording this, but people have had to become used to racial abuse, incidents of racial ignorance, and plain just getting it wrong every single day.
Yes, absolutely. There's no question about it, and I think, Lucy, that getting used to it is really almost a numbing to it. It happens with such regularity, and the systemic nature of racism means that for those persons who operate within systems where racism exists, for many, it's a matter of survival. It's a matter of just putting your head down sometimes and just getting on with it, because oftentimes there is no outlet, there is no structure to vent your concerns, and when you do so, you're criticized as having the proverbial chip on your shoulder, or you're playing the race card, or you're being a troublemaker, and so it's very, very challenging that those who are suffering from the evils of racism have to be the ones to be the experts on the solution, which is a tremendous burden to carry. And so this is an issue that all of us, regardless of our ethnicity, must be a part of its solution.
You mentioned the chip on your shoulder. You used in your YouTube posting this week an excellent quote from Malcolm X talking about having a chip on your shoulder, don't you?
Yes. Malcolm X described the chip on the shoulder as the I believe it was the chip on the shoulder is the foot on my neck, which is what, and it's obviously it is so insightful in relation to what happened to George Floyd. But, that is something, again, that we've had to learn as a people. We've had to learn to survive. And what you're seeing in these demonstrations and what you're seeing is the cry of a generation. It will not be necessarily, I'm in my mid to late 50s, and we will respond in a certain way. But the young people are, they want their voices to be heard, and they will not be as complacent or complicit as their parents or grandparents, and so they are going to be the ones leading, and they are going to be the ones, and I admire that, and I certainly applaud it, but I am also doing everything that I can do to ensure that things are done peacefully and measured. Yeah.
Do you worry about that response? Do you worry for the younger generation?
Yes, I do worry, in as much that in situations like this, Lucy, there will always be forces that will try to present a different side. And so regardless of what the peaceful intentions may be, you cannot control the elements that can use a demonstration, a peaceful demonstration, for their own political agenda. And so I'm advising those. My son will be part of that march today. I will be present. And we're just hoping that it will be peaceful, and that there's no reason that it will not be the one that happened early in the week was. And it's just a matter of we must do something, and we must let our voices be heard. And so, we worry. I worry as a parent. I worry as not only a parent of a child, but a parent of community. I worry for our youth and young adults. But I'm also confident that it can be done in a peaceful and measured way.
What more can the faith community do?
Well, that's another excellent question, and this has been our our conundrum for the week. And I've been on several calls and Zoom calls with other faith leaders, and that's our question: what can we do? And we obviously can respond in a faithful and theological way. We understand that injustice has been part of the human experience from the beginning of time. And faith leaders, whether they be prophets, our own Savior Jesus Christ spoke out loudly about it, and being the voice of the disenfranchised, and being the voice of those that are that are held captive. We will pray, but we will also plan, and we will also hold those in power to account for what we believe are injustices. Because, as Martin Luther King said, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And regardless of how far Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA is far from Bristol, we know that this happens in this country and in this city in various ways, but nonetheless in very damaging ways.
Let's finally talk about the practicalities. There are protests that have been taking place around the world. We've seen images from all sorts of countries around the globe. We've seen them across America. We're seeing them here in the UK. We will see them here later today. Is now the time? It's understandable, the anger, the feel, the need to have the voice heard, to have this protest seen. But under the cloud of this pandemic, is this the right way to go about it?
Well, it may not be the ultimately right time, but it's the opportune time, because my concern is that if we do not raise our voice now, like any other news story, within a week or two, it will go away. And we cannot this time let it go away. And we chose, and we have chosen today, Lucy, and you're asking an excellent question. On Bank Holiday weekend, the beaches were full of people who made a decision that they were going to leave their homes and go and enjoy the beach. I didn't. I stayed home, and I governed myself according to what was told. But today, I'm making a choice. I will do everything that I can do to ensure my safety and the safety of others. But today, I cannot let today go by without doing something. And I feel that's the heart of many people who will make the decision to be part of the demonstration today.
Bishop Dexter, thank you so much for talking to us this morning, and hopefully we'll speak again on more positive terms in future. Thank you for being part of the programme this morning.